Lifeline presents Annulling Our Promise. Chapter 1. This game has been exhilarating since the opening tip-off. Count it. E.T. has phoned home once again, and the crowd loves it. Eric Taylor drains another three-pointer. The sophomore has 21 points so far. The crowd screams, "Phone home, phone home," as he trots down the court with his finger pointing in the air. Taylor is 4 for 6 from behind the arc, and more than half his points are from three-pointers. If Georgia Tech keeps this up, I can see a tournament berth. Nebraska coach calls a timeout, the commentator said. Eric ran to the bench, giving his teammates high fives as he took a seat. The water boy handed him a cup of Gatorade. He downed it and tossed the crushed cup over his shoulder. Georgia Tech was ahead by 10 points, with 7:40 left in the game. The crowd was screaming at the top of their lungs. The coach was talking in the huddle, but Eric couldn't stop looking into the stands at the fans clapping. He always got going off their energy. The coach tapped his head with the clipboard to get his attention. "Keep up the defensive intensity and no easy buckets. Bring it in, guys," Coach C yelled as he stood up. The team placed their hands onto his. "Defense on 3. 1, 2, 3. Coach C sounded off. "Defense," the team yelled as they ran back on the court. Eric tripped over the sneaker mat at the scorer's table. Eric felt his knee twist, and he went down, falling backward in what felt like slow motion. Blood started shooting out from his knee all over the gym as he fell, coating the fans in blood. Eric woke up from his nightmare, rubbing the scar on his knee. He pressed his cell phone to see the time. 2:15 a.m., August 19th, 2017. He rose out of bed and went downstairs to the kitchen to get something to drink. He flipped the switch to turn the lights on, only to see his son, Danny, sitting in the dark with his head down on the table. It reminded him of when Danny would fall asleep at the table when he was a child. Son. Eric tapped the table. Danny raised his head, then put it back on the table. Eric smirked as he walked to the refrigerator. He opened it and stood there, trying to see what he had a taste for. He pulled out a container of almond milk and sweet potato pie before shutting the refrigerator with his elbow. "Son, you better not be drooling on my table," he said, trying to be funny. He placed the milk and pie on the table. When Eric took a seat, he noticed Danny hadn't yet raised his head or made a sound. "Danny, are you okay, son?" "Yes, I'm okay, Dad. I have something I have to do, and it's not that easy for me," Danny said, without lifting his head. "First of all, sit up while you're talking to me, son." Danny did so, sitting up and facing his dad. "Next, figure the best way to be successful with what you must do. Then, take the shot." "You right, Dad. Take the shot." Danny had a thoughtful look on his face. "You damn right I'm right. Now get me a knife and a glass out the cabinet. This Patti LaBelle is calling me." He stuck his finger in the pie, then licked it off. Danny placed the knife and glass next to Eric, then sat at the other side of the table. "Dad, you do know that the wedding is in 3 months? Or should I say, 98 days. "Yes. How could I forget? The Saturday after Thanksgiving. My favorite holiday, and my only child is tying the knot. I'm so proud of you, son." "Thanks, Dad. That truly means a lot coming from you. I wish that you would attend the wedding. I know you don't do weddings, but this is one of the most special days of my life. I'm trying to respect what you believe in, but some people don't do funerals, and I don't do weddings. I have never been to a wedding my whole life, and you know this. Why? Why, son? Would you ask me to do this? To be honest with you, I had to, Dad. Yolanda and I were going over the wedding party and guests. Her parents are playing major parts of our wedding. Her father is giving her away, and her mother will be escorted in. It dawned on me that I won't have any of my parents at my wedding. Can you imagine how that makes me feel?" Danny's voice grew louder. "I've been trying to fill this hole in my heart that Mom's left my whole life. until I realize a hole of a parent can only be filled by another parent. Sometimes I need your love and support more than your guidance." Danny took a deep breath with a long pause. "What you trying to say, son?" "So, I guess I haven't been there for you, huh?" "That's not what I'm saying. Please let me finish, Dad." Danny pulled out a letter from his back pocket. "I wrote this letter today at work. I was going to slide this under your bedroom door to avoid having this conversation. But we're here now, Dad. And this is me taking the shot. Do not interrupt me, Dad. Do not." Eric watched as Danny unfolded the letter and read aloud. "Dear Dad, you have been my rock, friend, mentor, and even my mother at times. I could spend the rest of my life trying to pay you back for all the sacrifices you made for me, never putting anything or anyone before me. I am very grateful for you helping me become the man that I am today. All the lessons and family values that you instilled in me are priceless. In a couple of months, Yolanda and me are starting our own family. We will always be Team Taylor, and you know this. I've held back taking this step for a long time because of our bond. I never wanted to break up what we have. I know if Moms were still here, I would have made this decision sooner. With that being said, we must be better, not bitter, better, not bitter. I heard those words come out your mouth numerous times, trying to encourage me. Now, it's my time for me to encourage you. It's time to move on. It's been almost 27 years since Mom's passed. You must move on. I know you've dated lots of women, and some of them I probably loved more than you did. This is not healthy, Dad. I pray that you move on. I want you to be my best man. You have been my best man all my life. It's only right that you be next to me. Not to put any pressure on you, but if you don't hand me the rings, I won't be getting married. Love you, Dad, and please help me to be better. Danny." After Danny read the letter, he tossed it on the table without another word and went upstairs. Eric watched him walk away a man. That was the first time he'd ever stood up to his father. He picked up the letter and balled it up in his fist. Hearing Danny pour out his heart to him had taken away his appetite. He got up from the table and followed his son upstairs. Knock, knock. Eric waited outside Danny's door. "Yes, Dad?" "Before you go to bed, you need to clean that mess you left on the table." "Really, Dad? I left a mess on the table? Good night. Love you, son." "Love you too, Dad." Eric grinned to himself as he walked to the bedroom. Danny might have manned up to me reading that letter, but I'm still the big daddy around here, Eric thought to himself. He sat on the bed and placed the balled-up letter on his nightstand. He opened the drawer and pulled out a picture of Danielle. Danielle is Danny's deceased mother. Eric kissed the picture and looked up to heaven. He knew he had to be there for Danny, but his heart still mourned over Danielle's death. He kicked off his house shoes and got under the covers. Looking upward at the ceiling again, he started thinking about when they first met. Annulling Our Promise. Chapter 2. Eric's freshman year at Georgia Tech was a hard transition academically. This was new to him. Being a star high school athlete in NYC had its perks. Georgia Tech also helped their athletes, but they focused on the hopeless ones. The coaches didn't cut the players any slack, especially not for Eric. After a few of his professors told them how bright he was, they also added how uninterested he was on getting his degree. Eric honestly didn't think he needed a degree to play professional basketball for a living. If he didn't make it to the NBA, he could always make decent money overseas. As Eric walked from the locker room showers with a towel wrapped around his waist, he noticed a note taped to his locker. "Come to my office. Coach C." Damn, he grumbled to himself. Eric didn't know if he'd done something wrong in practice or what. He dried off and got dressed. He grabbed his gym bag and started walking to his office. Eric knocked on his door, even though it was open. He walked in to see a beautiful young lady sitting in a chair in front of Coach's desk. "Taylor, I want you to meet Danielle Danson, your tutor," Coach C said. Danielle stood up, and Eric shook her hand. For what class, Coach? Eric asked, looking baffled. Any class that you don't have a B or higher in. We will start with your weaker classes until your GPA is 3.0 or better, Danielle said, showing him a printout with his classes and current grades. Eric ignored her as if she hadn't even said anything. Coach, my grades are already over a C average, which is good enough to play, so tell me, what is this about? The same way we push you on the court, we push our student athletes in the classroom. It's one thing not to have the ability to excel, but you, on the other hand, you have the ability and refuse to use it. I won't stand here and allow that. I have a faculty meeting in 5 minutes, so you'll have to excuse me. Close the door behind y'all. The coach walked out of the office and left them standing there. When do you want to start? Danielle asked him. He looked at her for only a second before walking out of the office and closing her up inside. That didn't go over too well once the coach caught wind of that. He had him run so many laps. Eric stayed in the gym 3 hours after Coach drilled him. He wanted to leave, but his legs were like noodles. Coach had left him the schedule that Danielle made, and he finally accepted he couldn't miss a study session. Their first session, Eric showed up 20 minutes late. He tossed his book bag on the table and took a seat across from Danielle. I know you can read. You're 20 minutes late, Danielle said with an attitude. My bad. I got tied up. You know how that be? It's okay. We will stay 20 minutes later than scheduled. Pull out your English textbook. You think I'm staying 20 minutes over? You lost your mind. Either that or you can leave now, and I'll tell your coach that you never showed up. And he might bench you or have you run 1,000 laps. You decide what it's going to be. You serious, ain't you? Damn snitch. I don't know if you're possessed by the devil or if you are the devil. What's it's going to be? She waited for his response with her arms crossed. He didn't say a word, just sat up in his seat and pulled out his English textbook. Their first session was all right after she punked him. The more she spoke, the more he realized how beautiful she was. She articulated things so precise that, despite Eric trying to be difficult, he learned. She had an old soul. She reminded him of his mother. As they wrapped up the session, she gave him a couple of worksheets to work on. Make sure you get them done. If not, I will add 30 minutes on our next session for you to finish the worksheets. And be on time, Mr. Taylor. Eric didn't say anything. He just looked at her as he placed his books in his book bag. He knew that got up under her skin by the way she walked off. He put his book bag on his back, then headed to the dorms. When Eric got to his room, Donald, his roommate, was sitting on the floor Indian style playing Atari. He'd known Donald ever since they were 13, both being from Jamaica, Queens. They met at IS-8 Park one summer playing basketball. Donald was an American Jamaican. In other words, his accent would come and go. They called him D, or Dirty, depending on what he was doing. What up, D? Eric said when he walked into their room. Nothing. I have been stuck here for the last 2 hours playing this game, trying to beat my high score. But forget all of that. How was your tutoring session? D asked as he paused the game. The worst. Coach C got the tutor from hell helping me. I hope this doesn't last too long. You sure you're not hiding anything juicy? I saw your study partner. Coach McMillian pointed her out in the cafeteria. She's fly. I know if she was helping me, she'll be the one learning something. Word up. I didn't even get a chance to see what you saw. She drilled me so much I thought I was in military school. I'm going to see if they can switch her out for another tutor. He dropped his book bag and jumped into his bed with a huff. He never took his sneakers off. You crazy? She's all that and a bag of chips. Just your luck. Your tutor will go from Pam Grier to Nell Carter. Then you are going to want a break. A hefty break. They both laughed as Dee started back playing his game. Eric put on his headphones and played a mixtape he'd gotten from back home. He closed his eyes and zoned out to the music, but he couldn't get her out of his head. If he was an artist, he could have drawn the perfect picture of her face to the smallest detail. Dee was right. She was gorgeous, And smart on top of that. Beauty and brains. He couldn't wait for their next session. The rest of Eric's freshman year tutoring sessions went the same. Him giving her a hard time, and her treating him like a dumb, spoiled jock. Everyone on campus thought they'd known each other for years, the way they teased each other. Eric called Danielle a bookworm, and she called him a muscle brain. Secretly, after every session, he liked or loved something new about her. Eric never tried to talk to Danielle outside of tutoring because he had enough groupies hanging around. High school had nothing on these college girls. Every time she would see him with another woman, she would roll her eyes. The last week of school, the campus had wall-to-wall parties. All the finals were over, and no one had classes. Most of the students were living out of boxes because they had their rooms packed up to sign out and turn their keys in. As Eric walked back from the cafeteria to his dorm, Larry, the equipment manager, stopped him. "Eric, Eric!" Larry yelled as he ran towards him. Eric looked back and saw it was Larry. Larry always took his job to the highest level. "What's up, Larry?" Eric asked, as Larry hunched over with his hands on his knees, trying to catch his breath. "Coach wants to see you in his office, immediately," Larry said with a slight stutter, breathing hard. Eric looked at Larry for a second, and then he started walking to the coach's office. "Every time the coach sends for me, I get nervous," Eric thought to himself. He walked up on Coach C in the hallway, taking down papers from the team's bulletin board. "Hey, Coach, you wanted to see me?" "Yes." "On my desk, there's an envelope with your name on it. Your guidance counselor brought your grades over here personally. I didn't open it, but your grades will determine your status on this team next year." The coach said all of that without looking at Eric. He just kept taking down the papers off the bulletin board. Eric walked into his office slowly. He had never been in a rush to get his grades. Eric picked up the envelope and opened it. Scanning his grades, he started smiling from ear to ear. This was the best report card he ever had. Eric had a 3.5 GPA. Coach walked into his office and caught him smiling. "Congratulations on your 3.5. I knew you had it in you." Coach sat at his desk. Then he started looking through his desk drawers. "How did you—" "Don't worry about it." "Thanks, Coach." The coach pulled out an academic patch from his drawer. "Take this and put this on your team jacket." Coach C passed Eric the patch. "Work hard on your game this summer. Don't wait until training camp. You're moving from our sixth man to the starting shooting guard position. Can you handle that starting job?" "Yes." "I can handle that, Coach." Eric said it so fast, almost before Coach finished speaking. "Great. Stay out of trouble and enjoy your summer." "Same to you, I mean." "Have a good summer, Coach." Eric walked out of Coach's office and ran down the hall. He ran all the way to Danielle's dorm, even hurdling a couple laying on a blanket on the grass. He had never been to her dorm before, but he knew where it was. "Excuse me? Do any of y'all know what's Danielle Danson's room number?" He asked some females that were in the day room. "She's in room 26 on the left," one of them said as she pointed down the hall. "Thanks." He walked to her room. It was closed, but there was music playing through the door. He knocked on the door, then fixed his clothes. He noticed he had grass on his sneaker. He bent down on one knee to wipe it off. The door opened, and Eric looked up. "Are you Eric?" the female who opened the door asked. He heard Danielle tell one of her friends that she was going to miss her roommate, but he would have never guessed that her roommate was goth. She was dressed in all black and had on black lipstick. "Yes, I'm Eric," he said, looking confused. "Hey, I'm Daphne. Danielle's parents came a few hours ago and took her home. She left an envelope for you," Daphne said as she went to get the envelope. "She didn't know if you were going to come looking for her, but she said if you did, to give this to you." Daphne passed him the envelope. "Thanks." Eric took the envelope before starting his walk down the hall, a little disappointed. He wanted to tell her about his grades, just to see her face. He headed to his dorm, slapping the envelope in his hand as he walked. When Eric made it to his dorm room, Dee had a sock tied around the knob. The sock signaled that Dee had someone in there. Eric walked back outside and sat on a bench in front of the dorm instead. He opened the letter and read it. Dear Mr. Taylor, if you're reading this, that means you stopped by my room. I wanted to give my home number just in case you needed some tutoring over the summer. My number is 718-555-555. Please be on your best behavior calling my house. My father is very strict. I truly enjoyed helping, or should I say motivating, you this school year. Enjoy your summer, and remember, the sky's the limit. Danielle P.S. Use that number, muscle brain. Eric must have read that letter 50 times or so while he sat there on that bench, smiling. What's the score? Eric asked Bruce as he held the basketball at the top of the arc above the free throw line. 50-45 my way, Bruce answered. Every Saturday, Eric and the fellas play 5-2 at 8 Park. They no longer run the full court, or even half court for that matter. They're all over 50 years old, Donald, Bruce, Malik, and Eric. They have over 40 years of friendship. Malik is the youngest and shortest out the crew. He works for a major record label in the city, with no kids or wife. Bruce and Donald are both married with children. They know each other better than anyone. Eric took a few dribbles, as if he was getting ready to make a free throw. He took the shot and made it, standing there a second with his follow-through still in the air. The ball went through the net and rolled to the left of the rim. He tried to get it before it rolled too far. When Eric finally stopped it, he was past the baseline three-point line. He squared his shoulder, preparing to take the shot. Add an extra 10 to this shot, boy. You out your range, E? Or should I say Ellis? That's a bet, Bruce said, clapping hard trying to distract Eric. That's a bet, Eric confirmed. Usually he doesn't let Bruce talk him into adding to the bet they already have going. But Bruce knew calling him Ellis, referring to Dale Ellis, the former NBA player, would get up under his skin. They're playing $20 a game, and if he misses this shot, Bruce most likely will win on his next turn. If Bruce wins, Eric will owe him $30. He took 3 dribbles, never taking his eye off the rim. Then he took the shot. Bruce smiled as he followed the shot. It looked long and high. It banked high off the glass. Swish. Buckets, Eric said, staring at Bruce while holding his hand up. Whatever. That was luck, Bruce said as they walked to the fence in the shade. Donald and Malik were watching them play, sitting near the fence in the shade. They'd started drinking, so Eric knew they were done playing. Eric got a beer out the cooler and sat on the ground with his back against the fence. Besides spending time with his son, there's nothing he enjoys more than this. Chopping it up in the park after they play is priceless. A few beers and a lot of laughs, that's what Eric lived for. I got a dilemma, Eric said, taking a sip of his beer. Oh, God. Who's getting the axe now? Bruce asked. Bruce is always throwing shots about Eric and his women. That's Bruce, a.k.a. Batter Up. He's married and still tries to hit everything thrown at him. He'll find the smallest thing to compliment the ugliest girl you ever saw. To say he doesn't have any standards is an understatement. There you go. This ain't about no female. I'm talking about Danny. He asked me to be his best man at his wedding. He made it hard for me to say no, but y'all already know how I feel about weddings, Eric said. I hear you, but that's your son. Your only son, Malik said. Word, Bruce said, co-signing Malik. Yo. The greatest sign of love is sacrifice. Sometimes it's not about doing the things that come easy. It's doing the things that are difficult and rewarding for someone else, not you, Dee said before he turned his beer up. That's your last beer, Malik said. They all laughed at Dee. Eric zoned out of the conversation, processing what Dee said. Dee has changed over the years. They called him dirty when he was younger because of how he played the ladies. He and Bruce competed to see who could hit the most girls around the way. They went in until it backfired. Now D has 3 baby mamas and 5 children in the same zip code. Now he's a born-again Christian and happily married. The crew was so proud of him, but at times he forgets why they called him dirty. Lover boy, Bruce yelled, trying to get Eric's attention. What? I hear you? Eric said to Bruce. What I said, since you heard me. Okay, I didn't hear you. What's good? As I was saying, do y'all remember Katisha from Jersey? Bruce asked. Yeah, they all replied. Check this out. I went to her house on my motorcycle about 2 weeks ago. I got to the house. She asked me to go to her aunt's house to pick up this sewing machine. I got in the car with her. I put my helmet in her back seat. We talked all the way there. Her aunt didn't live too far from her. She asked me to come in, which I did, but I wasn't feeling up to meeting her family. I got out of the car, took my riding gloves off and threw them in my seat. I closed the car door and went into the house behind Katisha. We stayed there for an hour. She introduced me as her guide to her aunt. Her aunt was cool. I pointed at my watch to show her I had to run. Her aunt was cutting into our sex time. Auntie, we about to go. I will call you later, Katisha said to her aunt. Let me talk to you, baby, before you leave, her aunt said. They walked in the kitchen and talked briefly. I grabbed the sewing machine and we bounced. On the ride back to her crib, she didn't say a word. I didn't think anything about it. Then when we got to her crib, I stood behind her as she unlocked her door. She turned around and took the sewing machine from me as she walked into the door. I tried to follow her, but she put her hand in my chest, stopping me. Stop playing, baby, and let me in, I said. No, you got me confused. You need to go home to your damn wife, Katisha said, as she pointed at her ring finger. I looked at her like she was crazy. I didn't know where this is coming from. I know I never talked about my wife. That's the number 1 rule. Then she pointed at my left hand. I looked at my hand, and I forgot to take off my wedding band. Are you going to at least let me explain? I asked, trying to stall so I could think of a good lie. No need. It would be different if I noticed it. But my favorite aunt saw it first. Do you know the type of talks me and her are going to have over you? You played my face to my family, and I can't forgive that. Lose my damn number, Katisha said, harsh. Then she slammed the door in my face. I stood there for a second trying to rationalize what happened. I walked down the steps to my bike and realized my helmet and gloves were still in her car. I looked in the car through the glass. She had the car locked. I texted her asking her to unlock her car door. She texted back, I wish I would for your sorry ass. That's crazy. We have been dating for over a year, and she did me like that. I went to Walmart and got a cheap helmet until I got home. I thought she was better than that. Word, Bruce said, and looked at them for a response. They looked at each other. That's Bruce for you, the look said. He never see his wrongs. And he's serious, Malik said. They all laughed, except for Bruce. What? Bruce asked, not knowing why everyone was laughing. You gotta love it. These are my guys. The crew, Eric thought to himself, taking another sip of his beer. Annulling our promise. Chapter 4. Later that night, Danny and Yolanda were driving home from the movie theater. Did you enjoy the movie? Danny asked Yolanda as they stopped at a red light. It was better than I thought. I didn't expect it to be that funny with the cast that they had, but Tiffany Haddish is crazy, Yolanda said. Yeah, girls' trip was something else. Now I'm feeling some way about your bachelorette cruise coming up. I'm not worried about you, but a couple of your friends are suspect. I hope they don't get you into anything. Well, I have heard that whatever happens at sea sinks to the bottom of the ocean. Yolanda smiled as she looked out the window. What? Danny looked over at her. Just joking, love. You don't have to worry about my friends or me. You are marrying a woman, not a girl still finding her way. Marrying, Lord. Every time I think about the wedding or me marrying you, my heart smiles. I can't ever remember feeling like this in my life." They both smiled. And then she put her hand on his knee and started rubbing it. He looked at her with his eyebrow raised as he made a right turn on her block. Danny parked in front of her building next to a fire hydrant. "Are you coming up?" Yolanda asked. "No. My Nana wants me to stop by her place. I haven't been over there in a minute. I'm sure she made an apple pie with my name on it. Give me a rain check tonight, baby." "No problem. We will have all the quality time allowed once we tie the knot. Tell her I said hi." Yolanda leaned over and kissed him. She got out of the car and walked into her building. Danny watched her walk away so many times after a date. That view never gets old, but tonight was a little different. Love is in the air. He smiled as he pulled off. A couple of miles up the road, he realized that he didn't tell her about his conversation with his dad. "Siri, call wifey." "Dialing wifey," Siri said, and the phone started ringing. "Hello? I changed your mind about coming up?" Yolanda said. "No. I remembered what I wanted to tell you earlier about my dad. We had a good conversation last night about him being in our wedding. I asked him to be my best man." "Why your best man?" "And what did he say?" "He still hasn't given me an answer. But knowing him, he's closer to yes than no. As far as the best man, I've been contemplating over that. Plus, I figured if he had a major role in the wedding, he might be forced to say yes, just trying anything to get him to show up." "I hear that. Do you think he suspects what you're trying to do?" "Your father is pretty sharp." "Not at all. He knows how much this day means to me and how much I want him there. If he ever got wind that I'm trying to get him bit by the wedding bug, he would kill me. I hope that it works, because when I move, it's going to be rough for him. You right? Y'all have a certain type of bond that's hard to describe. At first, I was a little jealous. Then we created our bond, and it wasn't even close to any other bonds I've had in prior relationships. That's one of the reasons I love you so much. You're very loving. I remember when you told me that you love hard. I didn't know what to think about that, especially after I've had a few stalkers in my life. You were correct. You love hard and precise. Your father, Nana, and I all receive different love from you, but the same. It's genuine and personal." Danny exhaled deep. "That's enough. You about to make me tear up. If you think my love is special now, wait until you become Mrs. Taylor. I love you more than anything. I wish I could fast forward to our wedding. I'm ready for us to move to our house." "That's funny that you said that. The house part. When I told my girlfriends that you already closed on the house 2 months ago, but refused to stay overnight, they thought you were crazy. I told them that you said you want us to experience the house as a married couple. Their hearts melted, but they said you still crazy," she said with a light laugh. "Tell them I got good sense. I'm just crazy over you, baby." Beep, beep. "Hold on, baby. My dad calling on the other line." Danny clicked over. "Hello. Hey, son. Don't say nothing. Listen, I'm honored to be your best man at your wedding and wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm not bringing any date, and don't try to hook me up with one. Let me know all the duties you want me to handle as your best man. I'm here for you, son," Eric said. "Thanks, Dad. You don't know how you just made me feel. I'm on the phone with Yolanda, so I will see you when I come home. When you come home, don't get all mushy. We're going to handle this like men. Also, I'm entertaining Ashley tonight in the basement. We'll talk in the morning. Be safe, son." "Always, Dad. You do the same. I'm too old to have a brother or sister," Danny said with a smile on his face. "Whatever." Eric ended the call. Danny clicked back over to Yolanda. "Hello? Yes, I'm still here. You lucky this ring is beautiful. That the only reason I held on," Yolanda said. "The only reason. You must have short-term memory. Or was that someone else on the phone confessing our love?" He drugged the word love while teasing her. "I ain't telling you nothing else." "I hear you." Oh yeah, before I forget. My dad said, he's honored to be in the wedding. I don't know what made him get a change of heart, but that news made my day. I know it did. I'm thrilled that he's going to be there. Now I must see who I can hook him up with. Someone that I feel is marrying material, maybe. I know when we planned all of this, you were supposed to be the matchmaker. He made it his business to tell me not to try to hook him up with anyone. So, let me think about this a little more. If I need you, I will let you know. I pulled up to my Nana house. When I leave here, I will call you. Love you. Love you too. Yolanda hung up. Danny parked the car and sat there for a while. He couldn't stop smiling from his dad's decision to be in the wedding. I can't wait to joke him about Ashley, he thought to himself. Ashley's not too much older than Danny. They haven't been dealing with each other in a while because she started catching feelings. Eric is stubborn and very disciplined. He's honest with the females he dates, but they think if their relationship grows, he will change his mind. He has a lot of things with him, but his two biggest haven't changed. Eric doesn't want any more kids, and he's never getting married. Those two are carved in stone, the 11th and 12th commandments. Danny's seen so many women over the years cut his dad off, then months, or even years, later resurface. Knowing him, he's all wine and romance right now. His basement has a pool table, bar and stools, TV projection, and a wall bed. He knows how to treat a lady. Danny took the key out of the ignition and got out of the car. He locked the car with the keypad and headed in Nana's building. Annulling Our Promise. Chapter 5. Knock, knock. After Danny knocked on his Nana's door, he looked down the hallway. One of her neighbors rolled out of her apartment in a wheelchair. "Who is it?" Nana said through the door. "It's Danny." "1 second, sugar." Danny stood there, waiting. It took every bit of 3 minutes before Nana opened the door. He walked in, hugged her, and kissed her on the cheek. She closed the door and they both sat down. He sat on the couch, and she sat in her recliner rocking chair facing the TV. "I thought you forgot that I was in the hall waiting." "Stop being silly, baby. Nana old but not senile. I had to find my good wig and Sunday teeth. Are you hungry, sugar?" "What you got, Nana?" "Don't worry about that. Let me get my favorite grandson a plate." She got up and went into the kitchen. He looked at her wig and thought to himself, "I'd hate to see your bad wig." He got up, looking at all the old pictures that she had everywhere. Everyone had their section. Danny, Eric, and Nana. She even had pictures of his granddad, from when they were together. He never heard her speak on him ever. Eric told Danny that his dad left his mother for another woman. He had another family, married and everything. Danny had an aunt and uncle on his granddad's side he'd never seen. "Every time I look at these pictures, it takes me back in the days, especially the ones I'm in," he said, loud enough for Nana to hear him in the kitchen. "That's why I keep up certain pictures. When I'm having a bad day, these pictures remind me of some great times." Pictures is what people had before clock lines on Facebook. She walked into the living room and put Danny's plate on the coffee table. He knew she meant timeline, but he didn't correct her as he walked to his plate. She went to her closet to get his tray. Yes, his Spider-Man tray. Smothered cube steak, greens, yams, and mac and cheese. Danny stuck his fingers in the yams as he stood over his plate. "I didn't see you go wash your hands. Now, did I?" "No, ma'am," he said in a child's voice as he took his finger out of his mouth. Danny walked to the bathroom to wash his hands. When he got back to the living room, Nana was gone. He sat down and started going in. Her food was always amazing. Danny was blessed to have 2 living grandmothers, the total opposite of each other. Nana spoiled him with food and love. Mama May spoiled him with gifts and guidance. Nana walked out the bedroom, rolling a suitcase. "When you finish eating, we can go through some pictures you haven't seen yet." "Oh, where's my head? I didn't even get you nothing to drink." She walked back into the kitchen. "Okay, just water?" "Nothing with sugar. I'm trying to look my best for the wedding. That suitcase looked like a treasure chest to him. Danny ate so fast trying to get to the pictures, he didn't even remember swallowing. She placed a tall glass of sweet tea with lemon on his tray. He didn't even say anything to her about it. She heard him, but she also knew he loves her tea. Nana sat down and flipped through the channels. Her TV had been on the whole time with the volume down. He finished his food, placed the plate and glass in the sink, and grabbed a chair from the dining room under the table, placing the chair next to Nana's. I can't wait to see these pictures. His face was full of excitement. Remember, the only pictures that leave my place is the ones you brought in here. Do you understand why you're smiling like a Cheshire cat? Yes, ma'am. When she opened the suitcase, Danny couldn't believe all the pictures and stories he didn't know. She picked up the pictures. Then she passed each to him with a story. There's so many pictures of Nana's parents and only sister, Ellen. Ellen moved to Stamford in upstate New York when she retired from Airborne Express. Nana told Danny so many stories about her and Ellen sneaking out to go to the city, always to go to a party. He would have never thought Nana could do anything wrong. As she was talking, he saw a picture of his father and his prom date. He picked up the picture out of the pile. Who's this, Nana? He handed her the picture, and Nana fell quiet. I'm sorry, baby. You weren't supposed to see that. I try to keep these pictures separated from family pictures. Nana sat that picture on the floor next to her. Danny picked the picture back up off the floor. Eric was sharp in this picture, and the girl was beautiful. They both were matching with the baby blue. Eric wore a tux, and she wore a gown. Nana, who is this, and what grade is this? She snatched the picture out his hand, then stared at him with an evil eye. Danny gave her the sad puppy dog face. He'd mastered this face as a kid, and he knew she couldn't resist. Her evil stare soon went away. She closed her eyes, trying not to look at him. But when she opened them, he looked even more pitiful. Okay, boy, you win. You gotta make sure you don't tell your dad I showed you this picture. He made sure I kept it from you. Your dad didn't want you to see him with any other woman when you were younger. If it wasn't your mother, he made me put them away. This picture is from your father's junior prom, and that young lady is Kenya Crawford. She was your father's first love, or first real girlfriend. Kenya. I never heard Dad speak of her. She's gorgeous. Her and Mom favor each other. Yeah? He does have a type, even though he dated so many types of women. Any chance I got to meet any of his ladies, I always knew the ones that would be around for a while. If she's pecan tan, she got a chance. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. He got that honest. She got up and went to the kitchen. While she was in the kitchen, he took out his cell phone from his pocket. He took a picture of the picture, front and back. On the back was written, "This was the best day of my life. I love you and wish to have many more with you. Love always, Kenya." Do you want everything on your plate to take home? Yes, ma'am. Danny put the picture on her seat, wanting her to see that he didn't take it. He stared at the copy on his phone, wondering if she was still around. Annulling Our Promise. Chapter 6. It was just over 70 days to the wedding. Eric was sitting at his desk in his office, going over Steve's numbers before giving it back to one of their biggest corporate accounts. Steve was one of the rising accountants at Eric's firm. He was very enthused. The fellas still joke Eric to this day of becoming an accountant. The last thing they ever wanted to do growing up was to fix someone else's problem. Eric, however, learned to love it. At first, it was hard for him to earn people's trust, but a happy client brings many more. These figures look great. Steve did a wonderful job, he thought to himself. He placed the paperwork back into the folder, then pressed his secretary button on his desk intercom. Yes, Mr. Taylor? Tina answered. Call Steve and tell him that he can submit the numbers to Teledyne International. Thank you. Will do, Tina replied. Eric opened the bottom drawer on the right side on his desk, then placed the folder there. While his hand was still in the drawer, he reached up and grabbed a pouch that was Velcroed under the top drawer. Eric placed the pouch on the desk and opened it, going through the pictures of Danielle and himself inside. He smiled, looking at pictures. "I miss you so much," he said to the picture of Danielle. Once he got to their first booth picture of many, Eric smiled so hard with infatuation that he started reminiscing. July 4th, 1984. Eric had been talking to Danielle for a couple of months over the phone, but they hadn't had a chance to see each other. They made arrangements to meet at the movie theater. She lived in Nassau County, where the movie theater was. He convinced her to bring 3 friends along, because he was going to be bringing the crew. It was Malik's birthday, and Eric thought it would be cool for Malik to hang out with some college girls. The crew met at Bruce's crib. "What up, birthday boy?" Eric yelled with his hands around his mouth as he walked through Bruce's yard. He opened the gate and gave Malik dap. "Yo, I hope my chick is cute. I'm not being stuck with the fat one, not on my birthday," Malik said. "Where's Bruce and Dee? They need to hurry up before we miss the bus. You know Bruce got his license last week?" Eric looked at Malik like he was crazy for saying that. "And what that means? I know a lot of dudes that have their license and be right next to me on the bus." Bruce opened the front door then, shaking a set of keys with a bottle opener on the keychain. Malik looked at Eric as if to say, "I told you." Eric would have bet his left arm that Bruce's pops wouldn't trust him with his 78 Delta 88, with those white walls shining. It was burnt orange-brown and a 2-door. "You're playing, right?" Eric asked Bruce. "Not at all. Call Dee before he changes his mind," Bruce said as he walked down the steps. "Pa-oo, pa-oo," Malik yelled up to Dee's window. Dee came out from the side door of his house, next door to Bruce, and they loaded up in the car. As Eric got in the front seat, he still couldn't believe this. Malik and Dee were mad Eric was in the front with Bruce, but they knew they couldn't argue since he was the one who set this all up. Usually, on the 4th of July, the crew stayed around the way lighting fireworks. Last year they were shooting Roman candles at each other until Dee's shirt caught on fire. He still had that mark on his stomach. Bruce turned left off his block, heading towards 8 Park. He honked the horn to show everybody out there that he was driving. Eric leaned forward so they could see him bopping to the music. The crew was rolling like they always imagined they would, once one of them got a car. Malik kept getting Eric to turn the station if he didn't like the music, but he didn't mind because they were rolling. The neighborhood never looked the same after the crew rolled through. Finally, Bruce pulled into the Sunrise movie theater parking lot. They got out of the car and made their way into the theater. Eric looked around to see if he saw Danielle. He didn't see her. He checked his watch, only to realize they were a good 30 minutes early. They got in line to buy tickets for Ghostbusters. "Make sure you buy 2 tickets, one for you and one for your date," Eric reminded the crew. "I hope my date is worth me buying these tickets," Malik said as he counted his money. Eric side-eyed Malik, but didn't respond to what he said. Malik was the tightest out the crew when it came to money, even on his birthday. With a pocket full of money, he was always complaining. Dee and Bruce didn't say a word either. Everyone got their tickets and went to the video games. Eric put a quarter in Spy Hunter and started playing. He was locked into the game so hard he didn't even see Danielle walk up. She put her finger over her lips, silently telling the crew not to say anything. Then she reached her finger into Eric's right pocket from behind. He jumped and stomped his foot on the leg of the video game. "Stop playing before y'all make me mess up my sneakers," Eric snapped, looking down quick at his Nike Cortez to see if he'd scuffed them. Then he looked back up at the game. "I'm 1,200 points from getting the high score," he said, biting his tongue and concentrating. Danielle did it again, but this time he grabbed her hand and squeezed it. She screamed, and he turned around to see her face. "I'm sorry. I didn't know that was you. I'm sorry," Eric said, surprised and feeling stupid. Everybody laughed, even Danielle. Eric was the only one that didn't. "Give me a hug, silly," Danielle said as she held her arms out. Eric was so nervous when he moved in to hug her. He could feel his heart beating in his throat. He had fantasized so many times of their first hug, kiss, and everything. Eric stood 6'4", and she was every bit of 5'9". The way they embraced was electric and very intimate. Her arm went under his, reaching up with her hands going towards his shoulders. It seemed like his chest was made for her head to lay in. Then she looked up at him. The moment when their eyes locked was magical, and the entire theater disappeared except for them. "Okay, now can we see the movie?" one of Danielle's friends said. "Definitely," Danielle said as they let each other go slowly. "Fellas, this is Danielle. Danielle, this is Malik and Bruce. You already know Donald from school. Nice to meet y'all. This is Keisha, Tanya, and Jasmine," Danielle said as she pointed to each of them. The crew took no time finding their match. It worked out perfect. Malik and Jasmine were the shortest, so it was only right that they clicked. Keisha and Bruce hit it off, and so did Tanya and Dee. They got in the concession line, trying to get some popcorn and drinks. "How's your summer been so far?" Eric asked Danielle. "It's been great. I'm enjoying my internship with Dr. Brown. She's taken me up under her wing. Some of the other interns thought that she was related to me. I could see me with my practice once I get my degree. What about you? How's your summer going?" "Busy. The coach had me scheduled for so many camps. I feel like a lab rat. Besides that, I'm glad to be home. I love Georgia Tech, but New York City is the place to be. I didn't realize how much I missed it." "I know what you mean." They got their snacks and found seats in the theater that they all could sit in. After a few previews, the movie came on. As they watched the movie, all Eric could think about was how he was going to kiss her before she left. Every so often he would look at her, and she would catch him. Danielle would smile and look back at the movie. He finally put his arm around her to pull her close to him. She scooted over so fast, as if she were waiting for him to do that. Danielle smelled so good, Eric's mind started racing with his thoughts. I wish we were alone instead of in a packed theater. When the movie was over, they walked back out to the video games. The nerves started rumbling again in Eric's stomach. He looked at the crew, and they were all holding their date's hand. Usually, he was the one moving fast when they hook up with females. He didn't know what it was about Danielle that was making him feel nervous, but he found he liked it. "Do you want to play Pac-Man?" Eric asked Danielle. "Not right now. I want to take a picture in the photo booth." They started walking to the photo booth, just Danielle and Eric. It was the longest walk. His heart started beating in his throat again. He wondered if Danielle was just as nervous. If so, she played it off better than him. Eric put the money in the slot, and they got inside the booth. It was tight trying to sit in there, side by side. They took 2 serious poses and 2 silly poses. They got out of the booth and waited on the pictures. Dee and Keisha walked up next to them, and everyone laughed at the pictures once they fell in the picture slot. Eric put more money in the slot to take some more. He got in first and tried to make some room so that she could sit next to him. Danielle opened his legs, and then she sat on his lap with her legs between his. She leaned in and put her cheek on his cheek. That was the first picture. They turned and faced each other for the second picture. As their eyes locked, it was as if someone turned the volume down in the theater. They moved in for a kiss for the third picture. As their lips met, Eric's heart skipped a beat. Then, his heart started over, synced with her heart. It got heated in the booth. Their lips were locked together even after the fourth and final picture was done. Danielle had the softest lips he'd ever kissed. Eric didn't want to stop kissing her. "Hello? Did y'all die in there?" Keisha asked, trying to be funny. Danielle and Eric wiped their mouths off, fixed their clothes, and got out of the booth. The crew and their dates were waiting on them. The guys were smiling, and the girls looked upset and confused at Danielle. "We need to go to the bathroom, ladies," Keisha said with a little attitude. "What about our pictures?" Bruce asked. "We going to take pictures as soon as we get back." Keisha and the ladies walked off. Cool, Bruce said as he gave Dee a high five. Eric watched the girls walk to the bathroom, still floating from the kiss. He never thought this day would come, after they'd given each other a hard time during the school year. Malik grabbed Eric's pictures from the machine and showed Dee. Then Dee handed them to Bruce. I thought you said y'all never did anything while you all were in school. I can't tell. Look at these pictures. I see love in both of y'all eyes, Bruce said, still looking at the pictures. Whatever. Eric snatched the pictures from him. He stared down at the pictures to see what they were seeing. He right. If a girl looks at me like that, I'm getting some, Dee said. As the girls entered the bathroom, Keisha turned and said, I thought you said Eric was just a friend from school that you thought was cool. What's going on? He was, or should I say, is... I don't know, Danielle answered. You better get him, girl. He's fine and he's feeling you, Tanya said, rolling her neck. I'm not trying to stop you, but you told me he was messing with a lot of different girls on campus. Just be careful and make sure he wants what you want. Whatever that is, Keisha said. It sounds like you trying to stop her. Do what you feel because we're young and beautiful. Okay, now let's get back to our dates. I want to go into the kissing booth. Photo booth, Tanya said with a little smirk. Speaking of kissing, can Eric kiss? Jasmine asked Danielle. Yes. It was like our tongues were dancing, and he knew my whole routine. Move for move. Danielle said, so softly and passionately with her eyes closed. You do know you in here with us and not him, right? Keisha said. Danielle opened her eyes and they all laughed. They left the bathroom and met back up with the guys. Keisha and Bruce went into the booth. Can we talk? Danielle asked Eric. Sure. They walked away from the rest of their group. Did that just happen in the booth? And what are we doing? Yes, it happened and... I don't know. Well, I don't go around kissing everybody, and I know you have a lot of options at school. You probably have a girl at home too. Do you have a girl out here? And don't lie, tell me the truth. Not really. What does that mean? Either you do, or you don't. It's not that simple. See, my girlfriend graduated from high school a year before me and went into the Air Force. The first year we kept in touch with letters and late-night calls. This last year the calls and letters slowed up to almost none. We haven't said that it's over, but you can tell by our actions. That's the only reason I said, not really. Because our relationship hasn't had any closure. I hear you, but until that chapter is closed, we can't start anything. I'm nobody's side chick. I'm the prize, not the parting gift. So, when you're ready, let me know, she said, looking directly in his eyes. What's up? You act like you're ready. As I said, I don't go around kissing everybody. Hopefully, if and when you get ready, I'll still be ready and available, Danielle said, jazzy and confident before she walked away. Eric stood there, watching her walk to the photo booth with everyone. He knew that a long-distance call had to be made tonight. She's ready, she's ready. Eric kept repeating over and over in his head. You ready, Mr. Taylor? Mr. Taylor! Tina yelled over through the intercom, snapping him out of reminiscing. You say something, Tina? He asked while putting the pictures back in the pouch. Yes. Are you ready for the partners meeting in 15 minutes? Tina asked. Yes. Thanks for the reminder. Eric put the pictures back in the drawer and closed it. He grabbed his cell phone off his desk and noticed a group text from Dee. He read it and texted him back. Dee. Drinks on me tonight. I got a promotion I put in for. Meet me at Fat Buddha after work. I got a space reserved. Eric. Congrats. See you there. Eric grabbed his suit jacket off the back of his chair and headed into the meeting. Annulling Our Promise. Chapter 7. Eric entered the bar, looking at the scenery as he made his way over to the reserved tables. The bar was jumping, full of women getting their drink on. Eric left his suit jacket and tie in the car, which didn't help. He still felt very corporate in comparison. He made it to Dee sitting at the table, a red leather U-shaped booth with 2 tables in the middle. He had 4 buckets with bottles of Rosé Moet on the tables. "What up, Ballard? I see you put the happy in happy hour with these bottles. Congrats," Eric said, giving Dee dap and sitting down. "You already know. Drinks on me and the food on y'all. Pass me that menu. I'm starving." "I feel you." Eric handed him the menu. They read the menus over and over, trying to be patient because the waitress hadn't yet made it to their table. Eric looked up over the menu and saw Bruce was standing over him with a girl on his arm. "Slide over," Bruce said, without even giving anyone dap. Bruce sat down, and the girl sat beside him. That was Bruce. He'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He's always bringing a date to the crew outings, and never the same chick. She's possibly the finest girl he's ever been with, besides his wife. She soon got up and went to the bathroom. "You could have told us you were bringing a date," Eric said to Bruce, trying to get him started. "This wasn't my plan. It just happened. That's my coworker, Talitha. She's one of my shorties on the job," Bruce said. "One of your shorties. You're out of control. I don't even know why you got married." "For what?" Dee said with disgust. He got up and walked over to a waitress, getting drinks from the bar. "Get your boy before I check him. Dirty forgot all the females he slayed before he got saved. I'm cool with him being saved, but all that judging stops tonight. For real." Bruce had a scowl on his face. Eric could tell Bruce was heated. Eric hates to see tension in the crew. "Calm down, brother. We will talk to him about that, but this is not the place." Eric started opening one of the bottles. "I'm with you. This is not the night." "Stop. Don't even open one of those bottles. I paid for bottle service. She on her way," Dee said to Eric, who stopped. "Have anybody heard from Malik?" Bruce asked. "No," they both responded. The waitress came over to the table and started pouring up champagne. After she poured up 4 glasses, she tried to ease off. "I'll be back to take your food orders." "Nah. We ready now?" "Let us get 3 16-piece fat wings. 2 of them spicy dragon and the other honey ginger. 3 dragon fries with dragon sauce and a slammin' salmon salad. That's it for me and the table. Place y'all orders in now, too," Eric said. "Let me get the Mongolian beef with dragon sauce on the side," Dee said, handing the waitress his menu. "That's all," Bruce told the waitress. She took the menus and walked away. "Me and Talitha good with the wings. She must have got lost or something," Bruce said, looking around, trying to see if he could spot her. "If she's dating you, she probably used the bathroom and forgot how she got here." "She's in a cab on her way home," Dee said with a smirk. "Ha ha ha ha," Bruce laughed dryly. "She probably in the bathroom cleaning up, not realizing that she's off work," Eric said. Then he took a sip of his drink. Dee and Eric laughed. Bruce was a manager at MTA Sanitation. "Ha ha ha, I see y'all got jokes tonight." "Yeah, something like comedians, but y'all ain't damn funny," Bruce said. "Whatever," Dee said. Talitha walked up and sat next to Bruce. They made a few toasts to Dee for his promotion. They went through the bottles and smashed the food. Almost 2 hours of being there, Malik walked in. "Sorry it took me so long, but I had to entertain a new artist. The CEO asked me to do it. Since the artist heard how many careers I helped go platinum," Dee said, while taking his man bag off his neck and set it in the booth. Then he gave everyone dap and hugged Bruce's date. He poured the last bit of champagne in a glass off the table. "Hold up. I know I ain't the only one that saw him put his purse in the seat. You and this forever young stuff is going too far. That's my word. You're losing your hood pass. I'm going to give you a village pass." "A village people pass," Bruce said. Then he gave Eric dap. "Really? First, that's a man bag, not a purse. But coming from your ignorant ass, what can I expect?" Sometimes I have to dress younger, industry fly, to appeal to certain audiences. And I don't have a funny bone in my body, not even on my elbow. So, kill that, Malik said. Break it up, fellas. I feel you, Malik. We all have to dress differently on the job. Plus, I can see why you got the man bag on, Eric said with a serious face. Thank you. That's why I rock with you. Malik stared pointedly at Bruce. So, you feeling the man bag? Bruce asked Eric. Not at all. But those pants too tight to put a feather in his pocket. More or less a wallet and cell phone. Looking like Catwoman. Eric growled and made a scratching motion. Dee spit out his drink onto the table as they laughed, including Talitha. Between Dee and her, they both had had too much to drink. Forget y'all, Malik said, leaving to walk to the bar. Dee wiped up the mess he made on the tables with some napkins the waitress had left. Talitha's head would slowly sink in her chest before she would raise it quick. Eric tapped Bruce and pointed at her so that Bruce could see what he saw. Baby, you okay? Bruce asked her. Not really. My mouth feels juicy and dry at the same time. I might need to get some water in my system. That usually puts me back in the game, she said with a slur. Yo, I'm going to get her some water. I will be right back. Bruce helped Talitha stand up. He held her by her waist and wrist as they walked to the bar. Malik passed them, coming back to their section. Where they going? Malik asked, holding a bottle of Patron. The waitress followed behind him, carrying a tray with a salt shaker and a bowl of lemon slices. She set the tray on the table. He said he's taking her to get some water, Dee said. Cool. We need to start these shots. If you scared, get a dog. I don't want to hear, I'm driving or anything. I got a limo and driver outside. No excuses. Malik looked at Dee and Eric like what? He cracked the Patron and poured 3 shots. They took one for Dee's promotion, then another one for good health. Bruce got back just in time as Malik poured the 3rd round. Where's your date? Malik asked Bruce, fixing the shots. I put her in a cab. She not messing up my night because she can't drink. Bruce picked up a shot glass of Patron. Let's take a shot to my guy Dee's promotion. Bruce cheered as he held his glass up. They all looked at him with his glass raised. You late. We took that shot to the head 2 shots ago. This shot is for the crew. 40+ years, and hopefully 40 more, Eric said. And they each took the shot and grabbed a lemon. Later, after they'd killed the bottle, they paid the tab and hopped in the limo. Malik tossed everyone bottles of water. The crew was wasted. Everybody had their own drunk body language. They laid all over that limo. I can't go home like this. My wife's going to kill me. I need some coffee. Hot, cold, wet, or dry. I'll eat it right now not to hear her mouth, Dee said, with his head leaned back in the seat. Take us to the USA Diner, Malik told the driver through the phone. Eric smiled when he heard Malik's instructions. That was the cruise spot, where they'd ended a lot of epic nights. The crew, in full effect. Everyone passed out on the way to the diner, except for Malik. He'd started drinking a couple of hours after them, after all. Malik took all of them home. They went from the crew, fly and ready for whatever, to the Geritol gang, can't hang for anything.